The General Register Office for Scotland was a non-ministerial directorate of the Scottish Government that administered the registration of births, deaths, marriages, divorces and adoptions in Scotland. It was also responsible for the statutes relating to the formalities of marriage and conduct of civil marriage in Scotland. It administered the census of Scotland's population every 10 years. It also kept the Scottish National Health Service Central Register. On 1 April 2011 it was merged with the National Archives of Scotland to form National Records of Scotland. All the former department's functions continue as part of the new body. History. Initially, ministers of the Church of Scotland were responsible for keeping parish records of baptisms and marriages, but only for their own church members. Later the Privy Council of Scotland, following the suggestion of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, enacted that all parish ministers should keep a record of baptisms, burials and marriages. This situation continued until 1854, when Parliament passed an Act transferring responsibility to the state. The Registration of Births, Deaths and Marriages Act 1854 created the General Register Office of Births, Deaths and Marriages, headed by the Registrar-General with the appointment of registrars in every parish. It also provided that the Registrar-General should produce an annual report to be forwarded to the Home Secretary to be laid before Parliament, containing a general abstract of the numbers of births, deaths and marriages registered during the previous year. The first general abstract was submitted in 1856. The parochial and borough divisions in Scotland were adopted as the basis of registration, and the session clerks of the Church of Scotland were, in most cases, appointed as the first registrars under the Act. Where the parish or borough was too large for a single registrar, the sheriff was empowered to divide it into districts. Registers were to be produced in duplicate, and one was to be sent to the office of the Scottish Registrar-General in Edinburgh. Compulsory civil registration began in Scotland on 1 January 1855, and coverage seems to have been complete for marriages and deaths. Birth registration took rather longer to bed down, but by the time of his first annual detailed report, published in 1861, the first Registrar-General for Scotland, William Pitt Dundas, claimed that there is good reason for believing that very few births indeed now escape registration. In 1855 and 1860, two acts, the Registration Act 1855 and the Registration Act 1860, were passed, which amended some of the sections of the 1854 Act. The original Act had placed considerable burdens on the sheriffs of the Scottish counties, who had already played a role in the taking of decennial censuses. The amending Acts reduced the responsibilities by appointing registration district examiners to inspect the registers. They also made revised provision for the transmission of the parochial registers up to the year 1820 to the General Register Office Scotland, and the registers for the years 1820 to 1855 to the custody of the local registrars. These registers were to be retained by the registrars for 30 years, after which they were to be sent to the Gross. On 1 April 2011, Gross was merged with the National Archives of Scotland, with which it already had close ties and shared management of the Scotland's People's Centre in Princes Street, Edinburgh, to form National Records of Scotland. Registrars-General for Scotland. The Registrar-General was also deputy to the Lord Clerk Register. The Deputy Clerk Register had to be an advocate of not less than 10 years' standing. William Pitt Dundas was the first holder of the combined post of Deputy Clerk Register and Registrar-General from September 1854 until April 1880. His successor, Roger Montgomery, died 6 months after his appointment, and Mr. Pitt Dundas resumed assumed office for around a year, until the appointment of Sir Stair Agnew KCB. The last person to hold the combined posts was Sir James Patten MacDougall KCB, in office from May 1909 to March 1919. Originally, this was the supervision of birth, death and marriage registration. It was expanded to include the conduct of the 1861 census and all subsequent ones and other statistical functions. In 1920, the Registrar-General Act 1920 was passed, which provided for the appointment by the Secretary of State for Scotland a whole-time Registrar-General. Dr. James Crawford Dunlop was appointed. On the formation of National Records of Scotland, the positions of Registrar-General and Keeper of the Records of Scotland were initially kept separate, but on the retirement of Duncan McNiven in August 2011, George Mackenzie was appointed Registrar-General in addition to his existing role as Keeper. List of Registrars-General for Scotland: William Pitt Dundas, the 12th of September 1854 to 28 April 1880. Roger Montgomery, the 19th of April 1880 to 25 October 1880. William Pitt Dundas, CB, the 17th of November 1880 to 12 January 1881. Sir Stair Agnew, K. CB, the 13th of January 1881 to 30 April 1909. Sir James Patten MacDougall, K. CB, the 1st of May 1909 to 7 March 1919. Dr. James Crawford Dunlop, the 1st of January 1921 to 2 September 1930. Andrew Froude, I.S.O., the 3rd of September 1930 to 14 February 1937. James Gray Kidd, C.B.E., the 1st of September 1937 to 30 November 1948. Edmund Albert Hogan, C.B.E., the 1st of December 1948 to 31 May 1959. Alexander Burt Taylor, CBE, D.Litt, the 1st of June 1959 to 4 September 1966. James Allen Ford, CBMC, September 1966, September 1969. Archibald L. Rennie, October 1969, the 11th of June 1973. William Baird, the 12th of June 1973 to 3 August 1978. Victor Colvin Stewart, the 4th of August 1978 to 12 April 1982. Dr. Charles Milne Glennie, CBE, the 13th of April 1982 to 31 October 1994. James Meldrum, the 1st of November 1994 to 21 February 1999. John Randall, the 22nd of February 1999 to 1 August 2003. Duncan McNiven, the 4th of August 2003 to 5 August 2011. George Mackenzie, the 8th of August 2011 to 28 September 2012. Tim Ellis, the 4th of February 2013 present. New Register House. New Register House, which houses the registration side of the former GROS's business, is close to the east end of Princes Street in Edinburgh. It was designed by Robert Matheson, the Clerk of Works at the Office of Her Majesty's Works in Scotland. Initially, the General Register Office had been located in General Register House. The building was erected on its present site near the old Register House. The site was acquired in 1856 and the building was opened on the 30th of March 1861, though not completed until 1864 at a total cost of £40,000. Other buildings. Grossi had two other main buildings: Ladywell House, in the Corstorphine area of Edinburgh, where population, household and vital statistics data are housed, and Cairnsmore House in Dumfries, home of Scotland's NHS Central Register. All three buildings are now part of the National Records of Scotland estate.